Hi everyone. I'm recording this on Tuesday, July 24th, which is part of week 6 in our class. And our topic in LIS 853, Metadata Standards and Applications, is linked data for this week. And last week, or really the last 2 weeks, I left most of the lecturing up to other people since we had our series of guest lectures of 5 guest lecturers over the last week plus a day. And I was really thinking that, oh, linked data, that's something I know about, so I should do a lecture for this week. But I've been reviewing the readings, and I have to admit that I really feel like a number of our other authors have said this, given much better introductions to linked data than I feel able to do myself. So instead of a formal lecture, what I'd like to do is just walk you through the readings and suggest maybe a method of approach. This is a little late. Some of you may have already gobbled up all of this reading material already, but uh, here's kind of a guide to the readings. Um, our first reading, most basic, the Miller, chapter 11, and that's basically our required reading for this week. I also included the Wikipedia definition of linked data, but linked or referred to from the Wikipedia definition of linked data is a TED Talk by Sir Tim Berners-Lee, given in 2009. The title of the talk is The Next Web, and it's really an introduction to linked data. Tim Berners-Lee gets really excited about it, talking about how the web as we know it, the web of linked documents, can only take us so far, and we really need to get to a web of data um, uh, to really get anywhere with the web. And it's short, it's only 16 minutes long, so you could give it a quick watch or listen. Some of you may have watched it already. The other thing I included was back in June, I was the organizer of a pre-conference at the American Library Association conference on the topic of linked data. There's a whole bunch of stuff here. If you follow the link to the pre-conference program, there's a couple of things that I think you will find more valuable or at least easier to look at. The first one is Eric Miller's keynote address. This is just the slides. It's not narrated, but you can leaf through them. And one thing that's kind of interesting is that in Sir Tim's talk, he talks about how he presented his idea, his proposal for linking in the World Wide Web to his boss back in 1992. And his boss said, vague, but interesting. This is really too vague. And Sir Tim mentions that. And then Eric Miller, who essentially invented RDF, mentions him in his talk. So Eric's talk I think you will find interesting because he really talks about how linked data can be applied to libraries. Eric Miller's company, Zafira, which is a linked data company, is working with Library of Congress to come up with what's being called the new bibliographic framework, some kind of linked data model that will replace MARC. And really probably the most interesting thing about these linked data efforts and that Library of Congress is working with Zafira is that this is really the first time that the library world has proposed a big change to cataloging where we're starting with a data model instead of cataloging rules or formats or different kinds of computer systems or something like that. So we're starting with a data model. Another thing you might want to look at, and I think these will automatically download Karen Combs's slides. If you look at the this press release, there are a couple of things here that it starts off talking about. Here's the main press release that worldcat.org now has linked data. which means that basically schema.org linked data in microdata uh, is in the HTML display of WorldCat records. And if you go back to and so there are a bunch of things you can look at from this press release. You can look at sample code. You can hear more about it, about what OCLC is doing with linked data. But the other thing that you can look at, and as it mentions here, Karen Combs presented at the pre-conference, and this link goes to her slides. So you can get an explanation of how it all works. There's a linked data app in the WorldCat Developer Network, and so you can look around and see some real under the hood work with linked data and OCLC WorldCat. And then the final thing you might want to look at is all the way down here at the bottom. It's another slide set. Richard Wallace, who also works for OCLC, and he's a technology evangelist at OCLC. And you can see his slides that are another kind of basic introduction to linked data here at SlideShare. So just kind of a quick rundown of some of the resources that are available for this week from the course readings page. And as most of those presentations say, happy linking.